Best friends decide to do an album review podcast, and they'll call it Pajamas for Llamas too. So, welcome to Pajamas for Llamas. PFL, yeah.
Nice, nice. How's it going?
Hey, going good. How about you? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. We're ready to kick off this bear of an album here.
Yes, welcome everyone to Pajamas for Llamas, our album review podcast. And usually our format is we cover an older album and a newer album. But last episode, like last time on Pajamas for Llamas, um, I chose a newer album, and then Don, you dropped the older album, and it was the massive double album from 1968 by the Beatles, the White Album.
Oh yeah, I dropped that bomb. I had to.
So it changed the whole thing. So this episode is just solely on the White Album, and the next episode will be on two newer albums. So you have to surprise me with a newer album at the end, because I already dropped what the newer album was last episode.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I got one for you.
All right, but that's for later. Right now, it's the Beatles, 1968, self-titled, more famously known as the White Album. Why'd you choose this? First off,
First off, it just popped in my head. I hadn't heard it in a while. It's my favorite Beatles album, and I thought it would be really fun just to delve into this album. It was a while before I've heard it, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to see how this goes. So I dropped the bomb.
But you just missed your chance to be like, I want to do it in the road.
I want to do it in the road. We'll get to that one later.
You could have been like, and I was just like, I want to do it in the road.
Oh yeah. Funny story to that song too when we get to it.
Okay, well then let's get into it. The first disc, it kicks off with a sound of planes landing, and then some up-tempo, old-style rock and roll.
I love it in the style of Chuck Berry, mind you. Back in the USSR, definitely. A very tongue-in-cheek song that they did, inspired by Back in the USA by Chuck Berry. And the funny thing, this was written in India when they were on their little meditation trek that they all went to. While they were there, Mike Love from the Beach Boys was there. So when they were jamming out, he's like, you know what? You should do this totally like California Girls. You know, on the bridge, you should do a total Beach Boys style, chorus line and talk about the different girls of the Soviet Union. So, I mean, come on. I mean, it's greatness right there.
Yeah, I love the little Beach Boys parody / tribute, whatever you want to look at it as.
Oh, definitely. Talking about the girls of the different parts of Russia.
Yeah. Don't they mention like girls from Georgia and
Georgia and the Ukraine and
the country Georgia, by the way, for people out there, the country Georgia.
Yes, the country Georgia, not Georgia here in the U.S.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a great song. It's kind of just like a hello, kind of opener.
Yes.
It does not set the actual pace for the album, but I do love the fact that that's like hello, when you go into the album, they just kind of kick that into that old style Beatles sort of rock and roll. And actually, Paul McCartney plays drums on this.
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, during the album, when they came back from India and they started to do the recordings at Abbey Road, they he kind of quit because I think Paul McCartney had said some snide remarks to him, like he's not up to par right now or something. So he's like, you know what, forget y'all guys, I'm leaving. So actually on this album, the two first songs are drummed by Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow. Well, Paul McCartney is very much a multi-instrumentalist.
Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's all about All about the music. I thought the bass on this, you could hear it really well.
Yeah.
Um, the bass is awesome on this song. I love it. And like I like the theme throughout the song where it constantly has the jet engines going.
Yeah.
I love that. I actually listened to different formats. The one I listened to on YouTube, for some reason, the way that it was downloaded on there, the jets were a lot louder and actually took away from the song.
Oh, wow.
Which, on my first line of notes, I was like, I made commented that, and then I listened to the one on the CD that I have, and it wasn't like that. So I was like, no. So I had to change that up right away.
I listened to the album on vinyl and on Spotify.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was on vinyl, this is the only song I found affected in this way. But on vinyl, and this is an old vinyl, by the way, but
and you're complaining about that?
Well, no, I just, in case anyone's like, he doesn't have the remastered this.
Oh no, that's the old. I mean, that's just as good. I mean, I'd rather listen to that way personally.
Well, but for some reason, that track sounds sped up on the vinyl.
Does it?
Yeah, it sounds slightly sped up, a little bit off pitch. The rest of it does. The rest of the album doesn't do this on the vinyl, but that one does. And so, like when I listened to it on Spotify, I was like, "This is how I remember the song, like closer than the version I heard on the vinyl."
I got you. I listened to two different remaster versions. I listened to the 2009 one and the 2018 one. Yeah, I listened to that one also, which basically the same. I think the 2018 is a little clearer, but yeah, I mean it's a great song to kick off an album.
Yeah, I found this is a discussion for later, but the song "Good Night." I found a big difference between the vinyl and the 2009 version on Spotify, and then the 2018 version on Spotify, because I did listen to 3 different versions of that. But
oh, really? I mean, I know the remastered one, and I haven't heard the vinyl edition one, but the Escher one is a little different.
I just meant I just meant the mix. The mix of the
vocals mix itself
is a little different on all 3 of those. So
well, they took a lot of takes on stuff. I mean, we can get to that later too on different ones. I think on the song "Revolution," I listened to 6 different versions of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not including the one that they had a single on with "Hey Jude." You know, the rock and roll style one.
Yes,
that ended up
the best one.
That's the one I think too is the best. Also, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that when we get to that song, right?
Yes, but yeah, back in the USSR is a great opener, and then we go into Dear Prudence.
Oh yes, I got a little funny story for that also. I never really knew what that song was about until I did some research on it.
Oh.
And I found out that Prudence is actually Mia Farrow's sister.
Yes.
And while they were in India, she really didn't. They were supposed to be hanging out, having a good time, and she would just go to her room. So Lennon thought it'd be funny to go ahead and write a song about it. How they were constantly him and George and Paul were always trying to get her to come out, and she wouldn't do it. So they wrote a song about it, which is the Dear Prudence we come to learn and love.
Yes. I read similar about this. Yes, that it was about Mia Farrow's sister, and they're trying to get like she was real obsessed with the whole method of that thing in India, and they're trying to get her to come out of the room and do stuff. And
yeah, it looks like they would do the little meditation course part of it, and then she would quickly go to her room and just meditate the whole time. And they were like, "Oh man, you need to come outside, look at the sky, hear the birds, jam with us, listen to, come talk to us and stuff." And yeah, she wouldn't have none of that.
Well, wasn't there a thing that like the Obla Di Obla Da that they also try to play that to get her to come out?
I did not see anything on that, but I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that. What I looked up, it didn't have anything about that,
Oh,
but
okay.
I would believe it happened. There's a lot of stuff that they did in India,
Yeah.
according to the stories and the songs and then what they did there. I love how the song just kind of, I mean, as the jet engine fades from the back in the
Uh-huh.
USSR, how it just kind of goes into Dear Prudence.
Yes.
You
It's
know,
the
with go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say with how trippy and layered the song
Hmm.
is, and
Oh yeah, when they come into the song, the guitar starts, and then John Lennon starts crooning. It has a really slow start, but it kind of kicks in as the song progresses.
hmm
I love the bass in the song.
oh yeah,
That bass riff is amazing. I mean, I never looked at Paul as being like a great bass player. Do you know what I mean? I always
yeah,
just thought he was kind of there. But I mean, when I really paid attention to it, I mean, he's got some riffs, man. He's not just cutting out this, normal, just little bass line drone. He kind of mixes it up a little bit, which I got to really experience in while listening to the song. I thought he was killing it.
it's kind.
He also go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's kind of interesting. On the old the early Beatles materials, he's talked about in the past that he would like just lift like bass lines from like songs that they liked and stuff. He would just full on lift bass lines.
Uh,
And it's kind of interesting, like he just kept progressing as a player.
oh, he did. When he actually started on the Beatles, he was actually playing guitar.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell. I mean, the way his mind works as a songwriter, it's like a very it's not really like bass oriented. It's like a piano guitar oriented in a
Yeah, he
way.
does a lot of piano. It's I think that's how he actually writes his songs in his head, and then he comes out with that. He's considered the softy, the ballad guy. And he's like actually turned a lot of heads on this album, like saying, no, I don't just like the love ballads. I can kick out some jams too. And there's something else that I noticed when looking this up is, you look at the album and both Paul and Lennon are both contributed to a lot of the songs, which isn't actually the case on
Right.
this album. McCartney wrote this one, Lennon wrote this one. Ringo has one, and then George has a few.
Yeah.
But they just accredit them both. And another thing, this has nothing to do with the actual song "Dear Prudence," which we're getting way off kilter here. I am anyway. Another thing I noticed about this album is that I really didn't know the difference in who was singing what, unless I
Oh.
was told. As a whole, I mean, I kind of know. Okay, well, that's Lennon, or I know this song was done by Paul. By watching videos, or do you know what I mean? But I never really could tell the difference in the voice growing up, and now now that I've really spent a lot of time, I can just right off the bat say, oh yeah, that's Paul, that's John,
Right. Uh.
that's George.
There's Ringo's Token song. No.
Yeah, exactly. They gave him one. They threw him a bone. Poor Ringo. But yeah. I mean, I think it's a great song.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I love
uh,
I love the guitar riff that comes in around the 2 minute mark, and then
I got that exact same thing on my notes here. I wrote that down.
and then
2 minute mark.
and then the 3 minute mark, the riff changes to another cool riff, and then you have like piano sort of mirroring that riff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I like the drum fills. Like the drum rolls when they
Oh
start
yeah.
kicking it in at that 3 minute mark. I mean, it's like I was saying that the way that the song kind of progresses.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's a great second song. They come in, they rock out with Back in the USSR, then they just kind of slow it down a little bit with Dear Prudence, and then pick it up a little bit towards the end, kind of like letting this is how we're going to do this album. We're going to be all over the place.
Okay, I got to put you on the spot right now.
Uh-oh.
I got to put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot, my man.
Dear Prudence, Beatles versus Susie and the Banshees.
I'm gonna have to go with the original. I do love the version that Susie came out with, but I have to go with the original. I mostly do, because the way that when people write their music, they do it for a certain way, and then someone takes it and they change it a little bit, and it's very rarely do I like a cover song better than the original.
Right.
But I have been known to like a cover song better than an original.
I mean that's like an offshoot episode or something, like cover songs better than original.
Well,
But
I mean, it's like let's see, Jimi Hendrix' "Purple Haze." I believe I heard The Cure do it, and it was a completely different song
oh,
altogether.
okay.
Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, at first I thought you were gonna bring up All Along the Watchtower, because that's like his version is so much better than any other version that's ever existed. It's a Bob Dylan
Oh,
song, but
yes, exactly. That is a actual. That's a good bring up there. You know,
yeah.
where it covers better than the original, but that's very rare
I mean,
that that happens.
to the point that Bob Dylan has basically said that he considers it Jimmy's song more than his, and he wrote the song.
You
So
know what? And when I hear that song, that's all I think about.
yeah,
That's Jimmy. I mean, I don't think I've ever really even realized that Bob Dylan does it. You know,
but
I
yeah,
completely forget.
I'm gonna go with you. Yeah, Beatles over Susie on the Dear Prudence, but not to derail us anymore.
Yeah, we're getting
After
off of
this, it's Glass Onion.
Glass Onion. Yes, sir. This is the song where Ringo Starr actually came back when they started recording this song. So he's back on drums now. It's really funny that the whole term of Glass Onion was what John Lennon wanted to name the band the Ivies.
Oh,
Yeah, that's actually their first band they signed on their Apple label. He wanted to name them Glass Onion, but they wanted to keep as the Ivies, and really didn't get um, to be a good band until they changed their name to Badfinger.
oh yeah,
And I know you know who them. I think they
yes.
had a real big hit. But
Uh,
yeah, that's neither here nor there. We're on Glass Onion, so and I love this song.
oh yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying. Oh yeah.
What I love about this song is how John Lennon is messing with people, because you know that whole hidden clues. Paul McCartney died, and
Yeah.
you know he really delves into that, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna mess with everyone on this song. I mean, they have that line in the song where he says, I told you about the walrus. The walrus was Paul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's all about just messing with them. That's really all he's doing. I mean, it's just like one of those songs. They've done this before, but they reference like 4 or 5 different songs in this song. They reference Strawberry Fields.
Yes.
They also reference Cast Iron Shore, which is off a song, Lady Madonna, which they did off a song, Fool on a Hill, Fixing a
Yes.
Hole. I mean, a lot of their old stuff they mentioned in the song. But did you ever hear a different version?
I no. The only for supplemental of listening, I only did the single version of Revolution
Uh,
and some of the demos for Goodnight. I didn't get. I think maybe I listened to one or two of the Helter Skelter demos, but
oh
I
yeah.
didn't do too much else on the supplemental listening. So what'd you discover in the other versions of Glass Onion?
Well, I discovered the Anthology 3 version. It's a little more raw, and
Oh,
it's not much of a different sound, but it's more of a demo version, and it's all acoustic.
oh,
And I
interesting.
think that this version would have worked just as well as the one that they put on there. Um, the only problem I have with this song is the guitars are a little drowned out by the
Hmm.
added instrumentation. I wish the guitars were a little louder, but it's a great song. I thought the production, could have been a little better. I don't know what it sounds like on vinyl, but it is a very solid song.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I like it. It's a rockin', catchy little song, and it's got a cool, trippy ending. And I also liked how it slows down at the end as
Hmm.
kind of a dynamic segue to the opening of the next song, the Obla Di Obla Da.
Yes. My first experience with that song, Obla Di Blah Da, is actually a TV show that came out in the late 80s.
Oh,
That was the theme song.
oh,
The show
what's
was called Life Goes On.
oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a female singing the song. It's a horrible version, mind you, but it was my first opener to the song back when I was a kid.
Oh, I gotta look into
But
this show now.
It wasn't a great show. It was I think the kid had Down syndrome, and it was to teach you, that. Uh,
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about now?
as I see the graphic for it, I'm
Uh,
like, this looks familiar, but I don't think I ever seen it. Uh, Interesting what date it first aired on, but
yeah, well, after knowing the actual song, you really wouldn't want to listen to it because it just make you throw something at your TV because it's such a horrible rendition of it. um, Not to take away from Glass Onion, which I thought was great. Just like you said, I like the way that it slows down, kind of gets you started on the next song.
yes.
Obladi Blah Da, which was actually Paul got it from a Nigerian musician who
Oh,
used to use that as his phrase. Like if something happened, you'd say Obladi Blah Da. Life goes on.
uh,
But
uh,
go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, but he's actually on a different version of the song that they have on Anthology 3 where he's playing bongos.
Oh wow.
And he wanted to take credit for it, but they never gave it to him. I mean, he didn't write the song, but it was his saying, and
Hmm.
he was like, well, I think I should take, some credit for this. And Paul's like, no, I wrote the song. Too bad.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is always interesting because sometimes I've given people songwriting credit for just saying a phrase that ended up using in a song. So I
Oh,
can
well, I mean, you're
understand.
you're very much a gentleman. I mean, not a lot of people would do that. You know what I mean? They want to take all the credit. They wouldn't say, you know what, this guy gave me this idea, which is really funny because a lot of this album was actually accredited to a Scottish folk singer named Donovan.
Oh
Did you
yeah,
read about him?
yeah. Of course, everyone knows about Donovan, but
I got to tell you, I never did.
oh
I
really?
never heard this dude before I did research on this album.
Oh okay.
Um, that's probably because I don't do a lot of folk music besides Bob Dylan.
He was
But
Donovan's very instrumental in that one song, isn't he? Julia.
I think he taught. Well, good. Part of the story that I have for that song, Julia, is he taught the picking style called
Yeah,
the Travis picking to John Lennon for that song. He said, "I want you to teach me, how you write it on this album." He's like, "You know what? I'll help you out." And he, you know, taught him how to do it basically, and so he used that skill on that song.
but you didn't know Donovan from his biggest hit, the Mellow Yellow.
Yeah, the name. I did not actually know that was him.
Oh okay.
I have to be honest with you on that. I want to be ignorant on that one because I really did not. I did not know that was him. Of course, I know the song. Great
Um,
song, actually.
what's that other? Well, he has another song. What was it?
You call me Mellow Yellow. Oh, great song. But I mean, this is really kind of cool song though.
Yes.
To get back on track because I don't think that they've ever delved into ska before.
All right.
It's basically a ska song. I mean, they got the little stuff going and all
Yes.
that. Uh, I love it. But you know my background with punk and ska and all that other stuff. So, to me, the song was really fun.
First off, that the other song I was trying to think of was "Season of the Witch." Donovan did that
Season
too.
he did Season of the Witch.
Yes. Okay. So, Obladi Oblada. There in the past, there are times did not appreciate this song very much, but
Oh
it's one
man.
of those songs as I got older, I enjoyed more. And
Hmm.
yeah, like listening to it these past few weeks because yeah, apologies to everyone. It's my fault that we've had a long delay in getting to this episode, but
Oh, that's
I,
all good, man. That's so good.
this is like one of the main songs I keep going back to, like humming and or singing, like oh bloody,
It's a
life goes
very catchy
on,
song.
yeah,
A
dun, dun,
very
dun,
catchy
dun, life
song.
goes on.
He was very anal with this one too. In fact,
Mm,
they were getting tired of Paul because he was being such a perfectionist with this song.
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I love the story that goes along with it. I mean, because it starts in the beginning and it actually tells you the whole story. You know what I mean? It doesn't leave you with like a piece of a story.
Right.
And that's what makes the song so fun. Of course, my mom used to, when I was a kid, used to sing this. You know,
Oh.
when she did stuff. So, you know, I mean, I've always kind of heard the song. I never knew who did it. And then that TV show came out, and then I was like, "Oh wow, I like that song." I was like, my mom's like, "No, it's the Beatles." You know, and
Uh,
then I finally got to listen to the Beatles do it, and I was like, "Oh wow, it's one of my openers to the Beatles."
Bringing up that TV show again, when I looked it up just now, I saw the version on the theme song of that show. The cover of this song was sung by Patti LuPone, and she's done a bunch of stuff on Broadway and all this stuff, but more recently, most people know her as the voice of Yellow Diamond on Steven Universe. So
Oh really?
yes,
Oh wow. Oh, that's a cool little tidbit there.
yeah.
You know, I'm still reeling that that I didn't know that Donovan did Mellow Yellow. So
Or
it
Season of the
shows
Witch.
you what I know, and I'm talking about music. Oh,
What do any of us know? There's a who knows? But
yeah.
yeah, Obla Di Obla Da, awesome song. And then we go into
Oh,
this is
by the way, I got another
oh
little thing. But before we do that, I'm
okay.
sorry, but did you know that Lennon hated this song?
No, I did not know that. Why did he hate the song?
He did not like this song because he was a little pissed off because Paul kept like going in the other room and recording things or writing things, you know, on his own while they were in there doing other stuff.
Mm,
So he's like, I mean, he was used to it. He was already starting to do that.
yeah,
But in a way, he's like, well, I'm kind of, you know, getting irritated that you're leaving me out on it. Do you know what I mean? Because he didn't even back up sing on it or anything. It was all Paul.
yeah. I
So
can see how that would cause issues.
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on tension wise, you know, with this album. Um, and then again, like you said, you were getting ready a Wild Honey Pie.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wild Honey Pie is almost less of a song and more of just a segue.
It is a segue.
Yeah,
And what's interesting about Wild Honey Pie is that he has a song called Honey Pie
yeah, yeah.
later on. And I mean, it's not even tied in really,
I
but I'm
know.
wondering if this is how the song was supposed to go or if this was like a cut thing that he just decided to do and then changed it up later on. But I mean, I'm not exactly sure why it is where it is.
Right.
But I mean, it's an experimental song. You know, it kind of sounds out of tune.
Yes.
Um, uh, it's sung badly. Like, you know, they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, other than that, I mean, there's really not much to say about the song. It says "honey pie," and then it says "I love you" at the end. I mean, I love you. You know, it's you know, it's not bad. I don't hate it.
It's
I
just a
just
segue.
yeah, it's just a segue. I mean, it's interesting where they put it because I mean, then you got the continuous story of Bungalow Bill.
Oh yeah, it opens with that little flamenco guitar bit,
Oh, that is so nice, isn't it?
and then it
I
turns
mean, it
into
kind
like
of makes you wish there was more of that.
yeah, but it turns into like a sing along campfire type chorus.
Exactly, like a children's song.
Yeah.
And this is the only song to have ever had anyone outside the Beatles to sing on it
Hmm.
like that at the time. To have a main part, Yoko Ono's on it.
Right.
Yeah, it sounded like a little, you know, like a little girl, which makes sense for the song because it's kind of like when they start singing the chorus line. It's very, you know, all right, children sing along. You know, interesting story about how this song was written, how it came about. This is another one of their songs that they wrote in India, and it's basically written about this guy who came up to visit his mom. His mom was at this meditation training thing, and they go tiger hunting. It's like a tradition that they do in India. So they get on elephants and they're going to go hunt these tigers. So this tiger actually attacks the group, you know, attacks one of the elephants, and this guy who came down here shoots it. and it really pissed off John Lennon because he's like, we're on this whole um, life is precious track thing, and we're trying to learn things, and you're going to shoot an animal. It's not very, you know, transcending. So he got really irritated. He was thinking, oh, here's this American, show off coming down here and killing this tiger. So that's what he wrote the song about.
Yeah, tigers are dangerous in India, though.
Yes, they are. They are. I mean, I understand, but I mean, he's coming from like, who are these rich people, to come down here and, show everybody, hey, I'm macho, and that's the way he looked at it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because he's a Beatle and he's rich as it is. So I mean, what where are you coming from on this thing? But
So yeah, he's like a stupid American.
Exactly. Probably American.
Probably American. Let's write a song about it.
let's talk about how we hate them. But very tongue-in-cheek. I love the actual song. I mean, it's hard not to sing along when that chorus line comes on.
Oh yeah.
I think the best part of the song, though, is that Spanish guitar in the beginning.
I like. There's a fairly dramatic difference between the verses and the choruses. The choruses are like this kind of campfire children's song, and then the verses are a little more melodramatic sounding.
Exactly, like he's being very sarcastic. He's dripping the he's layering the sarcasm on it, like, but he's telling it like a story. Oh yeah, he's definitely letting this guy have it, basically. Yeah. And then it goes into, like you said, now everybody's singing, and then it's that clapping and the whistling on the song. I thought that was a nice touch. The song with the whistling and all that. But yeah, I think it's another great song.
Yes.
It's all Lennon on that one, basically. And they have many different versions. They got more of an acoustic version on I believe it's the anthology, and no, they actually didn't do that one on the Escher, but they did it on the anthology, where they have different takes where they're having a good time with it. Sounds like they're having a good time anyway with it. But yeah, that's the only song to feature Yoko with the Beatles.
Oh wow.
Song on it. So, and that's another thing. She wasn't even supposed to be there. That's caused a lot of tension at the time, because they had a policy of no girlfriends or wives in the studio.
Right.
Yeah, and John was basically obsessed and was like, no, I'm going to have her here so y'all guys can kiss it. And that started a lot of tension within the band, actually. Not just Yoko Ono, but, different things at that time. And they were actually really starting to, you could see them starting to have issues from this album on. It's a great song. It's a good start here, and then you get While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps. All-time classic.
All-time classic. Another song that was written in India. They have it was actually supposed to be an acoustic song. But George wasn't getting anybody to collaborate on this one, so he went to his friend Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Eric Clapton solo on that song is amazing. It really brings the whole song together, and I thought it was excellent collaboration, Eric Clapton and Harrison on this one.
Yes, it's an amazing song. It's one of the best songs, not just by the Beatles, but by anyone. So
yeah, and it's one of my favorite on the albums.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, because George was doing that whole sitar thing for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his comeback to the guitar, it's like, oh wow, okay, the dude can write guitar stuff. All right. Go George. It was actually written as a folk-based style arrangement that ended up changing the heavy rock style, which I think is better.
Oh yeah.
And I love the song.
I didn't track this down to as an addendum or supplemental, but I like that one live version from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Prince.
Oh wow, I've never heard that one.
Oh yeah, he does like this guitar solo that will just like melt your brain on it.
Really, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
I need to hear that. But this was the start of more to come between Harrison and Clapton. Right. And because Clapton did this for him, he went ahead and wrote the song Badge for Cream.
Oh, okay.
For the time. So him and Eric wrote Badge for Cream at the same time. But Clapton actually, that Les Paul he used to use back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, he gave it to George.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, after collaborating on this song, and George named it Lucy. So, and he'll end up, he recorded that song with that Les Paul.
Wow.
So that was pretty good. I mean, the song is great. I think the lyrics are good. I like how this song just kind of just breezes you through it. I mean, it's such a nice song. I think they overdubbed a backwards solo parts on it.
Oh, cool.
And they overdubbed. I actually had Harrison do a solo, then Clapton came back over and overdubbed on it, which made the song great anyway. So, I mean, he's never really veered too far from his love on blues, and I mean, it's very apparent on this song.
Oh, yeah.
From that, but his inspiration for the song was he was listening to the band, the Big Pink, music from the Big Pink.
Okay.
Yeah, that album was kind of why he wrote this song. I think the anthology version is really good too. It's really George, his acoustic, singing, crooning, and strumming his acoustic guitar with an organ in the background. So I've listened to like 6 different versions of this song. You have Take 18, Take 2, the Escher demo. You have the version off of Love, which was George Martin, who did a lot of the orchestrated parts, redid orchestrated parts for it. And the studio version, of course, which is my favorite.
Yeah. It's a great song. I mean, I love it.
Oh, it's a wonderful song.
The chord progression's like is like pretty simple, so it's like a great song for jamming, which kind of goes with the whole idea of the song in a way.
Yeah, it's a great tune. I have a little side story to this. My son was in Boy Scouts, and we were doing they were camping out, with the boys. So later on, after all the little Boy Scouts, they went to sleep and stuff. The adults were hanging out afterward. And the guys broke out a couple of their acoustic guitars, and one guy started like talking about the Beatles and how he loves this song, and how George played this great solo, and the little bit of bastard in me decided to butt in and like, you know what? He didn't write that. That was Clapton. And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, sorry to burst your bubble, bro. But I had to do it. I had to put you were rabid, and I had to put you down.
I got to put you in your place in front of everyone.
Yeah, it was. I felt bad afterward, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, well, if he doesn't know, it's better he knows. Better he knows. Okay, so now we're on for the next one. Happiness is a warm gun.
Happiness is a warm gun.
My favorite Beatles song.
Oh, really?
Really. And I'll tell you why. When I actually heard this song, it wasn't done by the Beatles. It was done by some obscure punk band that redid it. To this day, I don't know who it is.
Oh, okay.
But it was a live version that I heard on at the college station.
Okay.
When I was in high school. And I listened to. I used to, you sit next to your little tape player recording the songs as they come and try to cut them off before the DJs come on and stuff. But I used to listen to this a lot, and then I found out it was the Beatles who did it. And after hearing the Beatles do it, it's been my favorite Beatles song.
I'm trying to think of the name of that one band from the 90s.
I know the Breeders did it.
The Breeders, yeah, the Breeders had a version.
Yeah, they did a good cover. They did a good cover. But the version I heard was a guy and a girl, and it was very raw. It was very punk. It was live, and I never found out. I mean, to this day, I still kind of like go on YouTube, seeing if I could find it, or research it on Google, and I can't ever find anything on it. So I guess that one, unless it comes across somewhere, I'll never know who did that. But the song's weird on how it originated. And I love the fact that it's done in like 3 parts.
Oh yeah, it's very creative song. It's like very imaginative.
Oh, very. It's really about an LSD trip.
Yeah.
That he had. So I mean, I believe he can't remember what he called it. He called it 3 different parts. He called it described as the dirty old man is the first part, the junkie's the second part, and the gunman's the third part. And I love how the 3 different parts just, I mean, it kind of, you really look at it, it's just like a drug song, right?
Right.
But he claims up and down that it's about him and Yoko Ono. Like Ono is his drug, and they were very sexually active, and the song's kind of about that. Paul said bull, and I say bull, so.
I like there's a lot of different guitar sounds on this song, and I really like there's one that's like the guitar sounds very buzzy but thick at the same time.
Yes.
It's on that one riff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's great. My favorite part's actually the last part where they're being like the 50s R&R.
Yeah, like doo-wop and stuff.
Yeah, the doo-wop with the bang or shoot, bang, bang, and I love that. I love the sarcastic. I mean, Lennon was always the sarcastic one, so the fact that he put that in there, I love it. It's still my favorite. That psychedelic rock guitar that swirls around your head, like a drug trip the whole time. I love that. I love that sound. And I thought the song was genius, personally.
Yes.
It's why it's my favorite. The Anthology 3 version and the Escher demo version are actually horrible.
Oh, really?
So, I say horrible because it's just John on an acoustic, and he's cutting up a lot. And in fact, on the chorus line, he's not even saying happiness is a warm gun. He's going, Yoko, oh no, oh yeah, oh no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, all right, dude, get back to the actual song, man. And she must have been singing it to her while she's sitting there. But, and I do like the cut-ups, though, that you have on the Anthology 3. He's actually swearing because he does the wrong chord and stuff. That's always fun. But, this is the best version.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And it's a great song. I love it. Martha, My Dear.
Yes. It's a lovely little song. Catchy.
Very catchy song. It's really don't have a lot of information on the song other than Paul says he wrote it for his dog.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Yeah, it's had an English sheepdog, that he sings. And that kind of takes away from the song because I bet he probably had to tell people that all the time. Because they're like, well, who's Martha? Who's Martha? Who are you singing to? Yeah, my dog.
Well, I mean, I found the lyrics kind of cute from the point of view.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's what I like about it. I mean, Martha, my dear, my love, it's just your basic love song, the strings are nicely done.
Oh yeah.
The horn section was really nice and warm.
Yeah,
you're laughing because you think I was going to say something about the sax, didn't you? No, I got nothing to say about the sax. I thought it was a jazzy little number, kind of jazzy a little bit, which I liked. Let's see. I like I think it's about the minute mark, and the song kind of kicks in with the
Yeah.
drums and the bass and such. I like that. I thought it was a good little ditty.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not my favorite off the album. One of my favorites, but it's very listenable. It's very solid, and it's a good song by Paul.
And from there we go into I'm So Tired.
Oh yes, a very cheeky song, really. All Lennon, but they both get accredited for it as normal. And this one was written in India. Also, he was going through this little thing where he missed Yoko Ono at the time, and he couldn't sleep. And I thought the lyrics on the song were very, very smart. I like how it's slow. It's like real slow with the "I'm so tired," and it's soothing. And then I like that as the irritation kind of comes into the song, so the song picks up. I love how they
Yeah.
do that, and then it goes back slow again, and back to the "I'm so tired."
At some points in the song, Lennon sounds angry to me on
He
this one.
is. That's the whole thing of it. Like there's something that I actually didn't catch because I was like, "What does this mean? Who the heck is this dude?" And he says, "I'm so tired. I'm feeling so upset. Although I'm so tired, I'll have another cigarette." And he says, "Of course, Sir Walter, and I'll curse Sir Walter Riley. He was such a stupid git."
Yeah.
He's getting angry. So I looked it up. Sir Walter Riley was the guy who really popularized tobacco in England. So that's kind of what the line, he'll have another cigarette, and he's cursing the guy who made it popular to begin with.
Right.
But that's what I loved about the song is how, he gets irritated, he gets angry, and then the song builds. And then when it comes to a boil, it goes back down again. He's just like, "I'm so tired." It's like an emotional roller coaster, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah, I thought it was great. It's one of my favorites off that album. And then we get Blackbird.
Oh yeah,
Blackbird. I thought this was great.
It's a beautiful song. It's like almost a song you could be like definition of a beautiful song. You'd be like Blackbird.
It's actually my youngest favorite song. She actually requests this song to listen to.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Did you learn it on guitar yet? You got a teacher.
Oh no. It's like I said, I do though. I should pick this up because it's fun. But there's something that when I was listening to the song, I kept hearing like a tap. I used to think it was a metronome. It's actually Paul McCartney tapping both his feet at the same time.
Oh, okay.
While he's playing the song, and they kept it in there. I thought that was kind of great.
Yeah.
I think it was a good song. I like the acoustic, and the tapping of his foot. It was very folksy. I thought it was written really well. Again, the styling, the picking style, was learned by Donovan.
Yeah.
Donovan taught him this for this song. So I mean, he's getting a lot of credit on this album.
Yeah.
For these songs, and I can't believe he still wrote Mellow Yellow. I gotta say, I'm gonna have to go back and check out this dude's catalog.
They call me Mellow Yellow.
Yeah, I actually really liked that song, but I never knew it was Donovan. I did, and I didn't put it together that it was him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a song I haven't heard in many, many, many years, but I thought that was a nice song. I thought it was an excellent song, actually. Yeah. And then you got Piggies.
Piggies, yes.
Piggies. It's hard not to listen to the song and not think of the whole Charles Manson thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, when they did the murders, they wrote pigs and piggies all over the wall and blood and such, and it's really just George being inspired by Animal Farm, really. Which he read, and then he put the Brother Pig and all that at the end of the song, which he took out. But that's really what it was about. Money and greed, and I thought it was great with like the harpsichord.
Oh yeah,
it was excellent. They have an acoustic version on the Escher demos and on the anthology that sound really good. Like he could have taken this without the harpsichord, and it would have worked just as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I'll have to. Sounds like I need to hit up more of these demos.
Yeah, just look up the Escher demos. If anybody out there wants to hear those, they're just fun. It's really just a lot of acoustic, and they're cut up a little bit on it, but it's a lot of them just coming the feel of the songs.
Yeah.
And they have some good versions of the songs on here that work, and then they have some songs that got cut, which I'll get to later. But um, it's really good because if you listen to the other version, you can hear like a tambourine and just the strumming of the guitars. You can still hear it in the other one, but the harpsichord was nice. It kind of gave it like a happy feel, but then you hear what he's actually talking about. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those songs that they're so good at doing that. I thought it was a very smart song. Lennon contributed the final verse because it was actually as they eat their pork chops, and Lennon thought it'd be funnier if they were all eating bacon. So it's one of my favorites. In fact, it's probably. In fact, I love all the George songs on here. It's another George song that I loved. What was your take on it?
Oh yeah, it's another one that kind of shows off their creativity and imagination.
That they did.
Was a little bit like made me think of like a musical or for something for kids.
I can see that like it was done for a movie or something. Like a sing along, but you're really going to be singing about serious social issues.
Yeah.
That they're not going to realize, but yeah, I can see what you meant. Like it was meant to be something else, and it's another one of those smart songs.
Another one with this goes for like every song on the album basically, but like or nearly every song, but great layering of sounds and timbre and all that stuff.
That is one thing that I've noticed after listening to this album, and I listened to a lot of Beatles in the last 3 weeks, not just the White Album.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched this. This took me on a musical ride that opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff. I watched documentaries. I mean, I learned a lot about them, and there's so much more to learn. But that is something I've noticed. A lot of their music, even back in the day, there was really a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
With their music, and they always add different things. It's amazing. There's no, even with the songs with just acoustic, it seems to be full. Like it's not lacking anything. And it's why they're one of the biggest bands ever. Probably the most influential bands.
That they are the biggest band ever. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, so. Exactly. I don't think anybody's even touched close. And they've had like. How many albums do they have? About 13?
I'm not sure how many they had. But
I mean, considering, but they really weren't out that long either, considering.
No, I mean, it's just like from 1963, 64, someone or something
like
that.
62, like 62 to when they actually became the Beatles.
When's the last album?
1970. So it's 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years, and look what they've done in 8 years. I mean, it's amazing how talented they were. Off the subject again. Now we're on to Rocky Raccoon.
Rocky Raccoon.
I love this song, man.
Oh yeah.
I love how it starts out, and he tries to do that Southern American Wild West accent. Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's a great story. Again, Paul shows his chops on telling a story.
Yes. The story's really engrossing. Yeah,
it is. It gets you right in. I mean, it starts if you again. I'm gonna have to bring up the demos and stuff. If you listen to the demos, he doesn't even have that intro. It just goes right into Rocky Raccoon checked in his room. So it kind of takes away. You don't know what the actual story was mainly about. So I feel like he had to add that in there. But I love the saloon sounding piano. When they get into it,
yeah,
the song speaks for itself. The added cymbals, the drums, the bass line was really good again. The story progressed. I like the harmonica added into it. The piano, the accordion was also put in there. I thought that was really nice. Something I learned about this song, though, is actually Rocket Raccoon, the comic book character, comes from this song.
Oh, really?
Yes, the guy, I think he came out in 1976, wrote it because of this song. And actually, it was supposed to be Rocket Sassoon. He thought that sounded more cowboyish. Rocky Sassoon. And became Rocky Raccoon. And then it changed when the guy came up with it to Rocket Raccoon. And that's why the guy shoots and stuff, because it was, kind of a reference to the song. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love the construction of the song. I thought it was very smart, very solid song.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's a really good song.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Yes, Don't Pass Me By.
Don't Pass Me By, the only song Ringo sings on this album.
He sings Good Night as well, actually. But
does he sing Good Night?
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew Lennon wrote it, but I didn't realize he sang the actual song.
Yeah, Ringo sings Good Night.
Did not know that. I got to tell you the truth. That's a surprise to me. I knew the vocals sounded a little different, but
I like the saloon piano from Rocky Raccoon is they do a little play on that in the opening of this song as a segue.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was clever.
Yeah, you like that carnival sound that has to it?
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and then they have like that old time fiddle come in.
Yeah, you got the fiddle.
It's a sad song if you really want to think about it. If you get into the lyrics, but it also has, again, with the clues that everybody seems to think that they're talking about Paul died in a car accident. Where it says you were in a car crash and you lost all your hair. They think that was a clue to Paul's death.
Right.
Yeah. So they're having fun on the fans' expenses again. But when I hear this song, I expect to see someone playing a washboard and blowing in a jug and getting into it. And real country sound of the song. I like the little the organ sounds. Make it sound kind of like it's a circus song or something like that. They were having fun with the song, and it's a good song. I think it's a very solid song. They added a little bit of the sleigh bells in the background,
and it's a good song.
As most of these songs are on this album.
This is a great song. This is good.
Yeah. And then you get Why Don't We Do It in the Road? A reference to the song you made to earlier, which was about basically Paul watched two monkeys do it in the road in India and came up with a song. How about that?
Another kind of old style rock and roll vamp in the vein of Chuck Berry. So
very dripped with blues. Basically, why don't we do it in the road? No one is watching us. Why don't we do it in the road?
Yeah.
It's an interesting song. It's one of those songs where I was listening to it in the car, and my kids were like, "What?" It's like, don't worry about this song. I had to fast forward it. But it's basically a lot of percussion going on. They were banging on the back of an acoustic, hand clapping the drums. A very simple song, very primal, I think, but kind of like a simple 12-bar blues type song. I think it's a great song. And it's one of the songs that I don't skip. I listen to it. Anything to add on that?
Oh no, not really.
No.
You covered
I didn't know if you had any notes, man. I don't want to leave you out. Next song, I Will.
Yes, I love this song. I've tried to cover this song a few times in the past, but the key is a little difficult for my vocal range, so I can't pull it off. But
you could still pull it off. Anybody can pull it off. This was also written in India. Donovan contributed to help construct the song. He basically tried to do like the descending movements in his own melodies. Paul wanted help with it. He told him, "Hey, I want to do this," and it's actually one of Paul's favorite songs he sung.
Yeah. Oh wow.
He made that comment that they try to do it. He tries to do it all the time. It's his favorite that he's done. I liked that. That was great. I thought it was done in that old Beatles style.
Yeah. It is
kind of like a nod, like, you know, we still got the old school, you know. Um, he basically is saying, "Yay, I got writing chops still," and I think it's a great song that he did.
it's a fantastic love song. It's a great pop song. Yeah, you know what you just said. It's in my notes. It says a nice nod to their old catalog. Uh, so yeah,
It could have just as easily been on like a Hard Day's Night or you
yeah,
know any of those albums easily. And I think it's a fun little song, and I think it's great. It's very solid. And then we get in the next one, Julia,
Julia.
which was Donovan helped again on this one.
Yes.
Um, this one's not my favorite. I don't think it's a bad song. I just think the song's a little boring.
Oh.
Uh, I find it weird. I still like the song. Don't get me wrong. It's just not my favorite off the album. When it's put up, you know, toe to toe with other songs, this is the one that I don't, you know, go to listen to right away. In fact, I might even skip over this one. But it's weird how Lennon put the story of his mother in it, and also wrote it for Yoko Ono at the same time,
Right.
which is really weird. You know, his mom died when he was 17 in a car accident. A drunk driver, an officer, actually, an off-duty officer, hit her, and she died. And
Yeah.
it was real sad because he actually lived with his aunt, I believe it was,
Yeah.
since
When his
age
parents
5.
separated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then he kind of came back like a later on when he was a teenager, and then she died. You know, it's sad. It's a very serious song, but he makes references to Yoko Ono in there. I found out her name means child of the sea.
Oh wow.
So that's why it's weird because it's like Julia, Julia, ocean child calls me. So I sing a song of love, and it's kind of like he's putting Yoko in it at the same time, which to me, um, a lot of people think she broke up the Beatles. I don't see it that way. I see it as John Lennon breaking up the Beatles. He was becoming very unhappy with a lot what was going on. You could see the body language, like when they took pictures, he was a couple feet away from the rest of them.
Hmm.
Never smiled, and once he got out of it, you know, he was smiling all the time.
I mean, I think the thing with the Beatles, especially between Paul and John,
Uh,
you have two kind of big songwriting personalities.
yes, he did.
So of course, like all most artists, they want to do their own thing. You know, you want control,
Yeah.
and like when you work together, you know, everything was great. But then as time is passing, you're both like creating bigger and bigger ideas, and like so, it's like you know you're amassing these kind of armies in a way of songs, and it's like
Hmm.
you know, you want your own space to just do whatever you want. And,
Yeah, you know, you want your creativity, you want to do something else.
yeah, you want your
Uh,
control. So
it's kind of because you know, John Lennon's going very the hippie route, you know, peace, and he wanted to go that route with Yoko, a little more artistic, and then Paul, you know, was going a different way.
yeah,
But you
Paul's
know,
like
they
big
all,
pop songs. Yeah,
yeah, they're all, you know, saying like, yeah, remember growing up, everybody, oh, Yoko Ono was the one who did it.
yeah.
Not really, not after watching a lot of documentaries. I mean, she was there, but she was quiet. It really was John. You know, he didn't want to do it anymore. You know, but yeah, this being his song, what did you think of the song?
I like the song a lot actually. I think it's a lovely song. There's a lot of sadness in John's voice at points in this
Yeah,
song.
there is,
Uh,
there is.
yeah, yeah, I like it. It's a nice closing to the first
It is
disc,
a nice closing to it. I think it is.
and
You
then we
know,
go
but
into the second disc. No,
yeah, actually, we do go into the second disc, and they just kick out the song "Birthday." I mean, I can't help it but think of 16 Candles when I hear this one.
go for it.
They say it's your birthday. It's my birthday too. It's funny how that song actually came about. they just wanted a nonsense song. They just kind of put that in there. John and Paul just kind of came up with this idea. There's not a lot to the lyrics. Like I said, all I can think of is Michael Anthony Hall banging on the dashboard of the car singing to Molly Ringwald. I heard it's your birthday. But yeah, I thought it was nice. It's a blues rock type song. I think it's great. It's very upbeat.
I love the song, to be honest. I love the riff. It's such a classic riff.
Oh, it is. I mean, you can't go without thinking that riff. I mean, if you never heard the Beatles, I'm pretty sure you know the song.
And it's one of those songs that every time someone's birthday comes around, the song comes up. Dun, 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 to say it's your birthday.
I know, right?
It's my birthday too, yeah. I really like the drums on this song.
Yeah, the drums are really. I was gonna say it even opens up kind of like a drum roll, drum fill, and it really kicks in. I love it.
It's kind of a hard rocking song in a way for them.
It is. I could see punk bands doing this song a lot. I could see the Ramones doing this song.
Oh, that in their style. Cool.
That would have been real cool. It's one of those party songs that you'd expect, to play at a get together or something. Have a good time. I like it.
And from there we go into Your Blues.
Your Blues, yes. That one also was written in India. Mr. Lennon was trying to be a little sarcastic because there was a lot of blues going on in England. Like a lot of people were trying to do blues at the time, and he's like, you know what? I kind of tongue-in-cheek want to talk about that, make fun of that at the same time, really keeping true because he really did love the blues. They all did. I mean, they're a blues-based band, really. But I wonder if that, this song was actually kind of inspired by Rolling Stones or something that they go on the song. I love it. I thought it was a great song.
Yeah, I love this a lot. It's John belting out some electric blues, and I love when he says the thing about suicide. He says about hang his rock and roll, and then it switches to like a boogie riff. I really like that. And then this when I was listening to it, I was like, I wanted to do like jam this with someone and do like a long blistering guitar solo. Like this is a song that made me want to like jam like the.
Oh, definitely.
I'm not saying I wanted a long blistering guitar solo in this song. I'm just saying I wanted to.
Yeah, you wanted to do. Yeah, no, I hear you.
For my own fun.
For your own sake, right? Yeah, there's not a whole lot of blistering solos with the Beatles, but
yes, they're not that kind of band. But yeah,
yeah, I love the rawness of the song. You can almost hear like a desperation in his voice.
Yeah,
that I like the 234 mark, I believe it is, and when George starts that guitar, and then the 255 with that little solo, I love the effect on the guitar, and then that sudden transition, and the song kind of goes back to the main riff again.
Yeah,
I like that. I've never actually heard this guy before. I don't know a lot about blues, but Sleepy John Estes. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh yes.
That's what inspired him for this song.
Sleepy John Estes, he has this one song that's I'm trying to get I'm always scared to say the title because it's something like Old Black Mammy or something like that. Can't remember what it's called. Have you ever
it's
heard
old school blues. No, I just the first time of hearing of this guy. I don't know a lot about blues, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was good.
I should know more about blues, and I'm probably going to delve into that later. But I know you actually have quite a history with blues.
I think it's Black Maddie is what it is.
Black Maddie.
Oh, Black Maddie.
I'm about to check out that song.
Well, it's got this really cool riff in it. I'm not going to get us all into a thing here. Like. It's got this really cool riff in it that I used to try to do as like a hard rock thing, like to turn.
Nice. Yeah. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out later. If anybody wants to listen to it later, look it up. I do like the fact that I didn't catch this the first time, But when I was re-listening to this album, he says in those tests, "I feel so suicidal, just like Dylan's Mr. Jones."
Oh wow, I didn't
And he
catch
was
that.
making, yeah, he was making reference to A Ballad of a Thin Man.
Oh wow.
So that's another. After hearing the song, I went ahead and listened to that song. It's one of Bob Dylan's electric guitar uh, songs. So it's actually a really good song. So if anybody wants to check that out, they should. Ballad of a Thin Man. It's a good song. Then we get into Mother's Nature's Son.
Yes, Mother Nature's Son.
Um, Another India written song.
Another kind of English folky sound song.
Yeah, it's was inspired by the Maharishi. Uh, did a speech, and Paul came up with this idea. And actually, another song came out of that same speech Lennon did called "Child of Nature."
Oh wow.
Came from the same thing. And
Must have been a heck of
the
a speech.
yeah, he later reused the song for "Jealous Guy" in the his
Oh.
solo stuff, his Plastic Ono band. Um, but this song was all done by Paul alone. I like the brass arrangement
Mm-hmm.
that George Martin put in there. Um, Paul was inspired by Nat King Cole's "Nature Boy"
Oh, interesting.
song for this also. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
very catchy, breezy.
yes.
I like how it's so quiet because it sets us up to like be sort of woken up by the next song, which is kind of another hard rocking number.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I like how they put this in there, and then they put in there. I love the picking style on the song. Probably something else he learned from Donovan.
Yeah.
And I like how it, with the bass and the drums and how it ends. It was pretty good. The Anthology 3 version, I think, is better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of their demo ones. It has outtakes, like in the beginning, you can hear them talking and talking to each other, but I thought that the actual song sounded better to me on the Anthology 3. Like they could have used that, and I would have been just fine with that one on the album. Then you get another song about monkeys.
Yeah.
Everyone's got something to hide except me and my monkey.
Monkey. Yeah.
Lennon claims that this song's about Yoko Ono. Paul says otherwise. He says no. He says out of all the Beatles, him and Yoko were using heroin and they weren't. And that's what the song's about, which when you look at the lyrics, I mean, it's kind of what I get out of the song myself too. But then again, I'm looking when I hear this era of Beatles, I'm trying to look for the drug references. This is their drug experimental time, right?
They're using heroin.
Yeah, John
Oh wow.
did, and Yoko did. I don't know how often, but I know that they were using at the time. So that's my theory on the song. I mean, everybody calls the monkey on your back, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of what Paul believes, and that's kind of what I believe also. The one thing I did not like about the song is the dinner bell.
Hmm.
That the ding, because I mean it's really loud on the versions I heard, and it kind
Right.
of takes away from the song. I don't mind it being there; it just kind of takes away from the song. But I do love that, take it easy. You know, uh,
There's some great riffs in this
oh,
song.
there's some great riffs in the song.
I like that. I like the guitar tone. There's still that buzzy but warm guitar
Mm-hmm.
tone.
Yeah, in my notes I say George really kicks it out on this one. I think his guitars are great on the song.
Yeah.
Um, it makes me wish that the album was a little more like that. You know what I mean? After I hear this, when you're listening to the album and you hear this song, you kind of want them to have that heavier sound.
It would have been
Which
interesting
will
to
come.
hear
Yeah.
a quasi heavy metal album from the Beatles. Would have
Oh
been.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna get to the probably the actual
Yeah.
first metal song ever written, really. Proto metal. I mean, it's before Black Sabbath time, so I mean, you know, at least a year before they came out. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a solid song. It's another solid song in my opinion. I think it's a straight up rock song. I like it. It's solid. And Sexy Sadie next.
Yes.
There's a little story to this one with Lennon. I don't know. Did you read up on that?
No, I actually did not read up on this song.
Okay, well, apparently, the Maharishi had thrown himself at Mia Farrow at the time. So this is about the time that he got ticked off and they actually left. This is when the Beatles left this dude. And he actually came back. And when he came back, he actually carved words into a piece of wood, which were
Hello? Hello?
it says, Maharishi, you little twat. Who the fuck do you think you are? It says, who the fuck do you think you are? It says, oh, you cunt.
Oh my God.
Sorry for the language, but there's a reason why I tell you this, because that's how pissed off he was when he wrote this song. Yet when you hear the song, you don't hear that at all. In fact, it was George who told him change the song. It was called Maharishi. He says, like, no, don't do that, because he still kept with that mysticism, that Hare Krishna, way of thinking. So it changed the song. Personally, I love it. It's one of my favorites on the album.
I like the little guitar riff towards the end.
I think it's a great song. I like the pianos. What really kind of drives the song about the 155 where it has that change up, does that transition. I love that transition there. I like the little solo bit they throw in there. Like I said, I find it interesting that John keeps his composure on the song after learning, what triggered the song. You figure this be an angry song, but it's real laid back.
Yeah.
The Escher demo of the song is also pretty good. It's just Lennon and his acoustic, so that's a pretty good song.
Yeah, and then we get.
Oh man. This is my second favorite song. And
Helter Skelter.
It's funny. It's funny how this song even came about. I mean, number one, Paul wrote it, which you wouldn't think Paul would write,
right,
a song like this. This would be some more of Lennon or maybe even George might have come up with this song. But the only reason Paul did it is because he could. He heard an interview with Pete Townsend. And Pete was like, "Oh yeah, we got this new song out. And it's the loudest song you've ever heard. It's insane. Blah blah blah. You need to hear it." He's like, "Oh really? You got the loudest song? Well, I can change that." It's basically what he did. I'm trying to remember the name of the actual song. Oh yeah, "I Can See for Miles" was the song that was referenced, which I listened to after reading this. And yeah, it's really not that loud.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why he was claiming that the song was so loud. And so, yeah, unless it's loud. I know live they did, really loud music, but no, the studio version wasn't that loud. But it's basically. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the story I heard was Paul heard them say that about that song, and then when he heard it, it was like, "Oh, it's pretty straight. It's not that what?" And so they did this.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, let me show you what loud is." And it's really interesting because I remember the first time I heard this, I was like, "That's the Beatles."
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom that the Beatles came out with a song like this, and it was actually in the movie Helter Skelter that they did about Charles Manson, that old one. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, it just blew me away when I heard this. And it's definitely before Black Sabbath. And I was thinking to myself, this has to be like the first metal song, like the proto-metal song. It's so loud at the feedback. It's screaming. It's raw.
Some people feel Blue Cheers, the Summertime Blues, is kind of the first.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit before this, the same year, but I think it's a little bit before this one. But yeah, I don't. It's I mean it's all all of this is relatively close to each other because then you're gonna have you know
Well,
you
here's
got
my question: would they have heard this if they were in India and such? They
right.
probably didn't even hear it, and by the time they came home, do you know what I mean?
But here's some other things to consider. Jimi Hendrix was already around. And,
Yeah, but was he? He wasn't doing his solo work. When he still like working in about this time, about 68? Wasn't he still doing like?
oh no, when does that first album come out? 67 or something?
Was it 67 with like?
1967 is Are You Experienced and
I was gonna
actually Bold
say.
as Love. And
Well, I
then
wonder if that's what he was inspired with, because I mean, he would have been in England at the time.
another thing to also consider is the band Cream.
Oh, Cream, yeah. I mean, come on.
I mean, their first album's in '66. So yeah, I can't say that this is the first.
No, not the first, but I mean, it'll be one of the ones that actually kind of established. I
Yeah,
mean, the idea of heavy metal. If not, Black Sabbath said, okay, well, we're going to claim it, but other than they claimed the term heavy metal, which
yeah.
that's for another day. Excuse me. I think it's a monster of a song.
Oh yes,
I like it. I like the false endings that they kind of it
yeah,
fades out and then it kind of comes back in, and it's
yeah.
like we're not done yet. You know, we're gonna let you. I think it's a great song. It's one of my favorites by him.
This is
And I
this is one of my absolute favorite Beatles songs. I'm not going to
oh,
say
is it?
the favorite, but it might be.
It's one of mine. It's
I think
definitely one of mine. It's in my top 10 for sure. If it's not number one. I've told you, happiness is number one for me. This would be number two
I think
for me.
possibly Eleanor Rigby might be my favorite Beatles.
Ah, I love Eleanor Rigby. I
Uh,
love that song. That's for another day though. On that one,
but
you know,
that song is up there. It's just the it makes me want to just blast it on the guitar. I want to jam with someone just blasting this and just I just love it. The screaming, the distortion, the loudness, the everything. It's just
yeah, it's basic awesomeness. I mean, considering the Beatles, they don't play like that. You know what I mean? It throws you for a loop for sure. Um, they have a version that's really stripped down and bluesy off of the Anthology
yeah.
3 if you get a chance to listen to it. Is that one of the ones you listen to?
I listened to some demo from the remasters last year that was kind of slow and bluesy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely one that it's interesting. I mean, I don't like it as much,
yeah, of course.
but I do like the behind, the demos where they're just kind of having fun with it. And there's a lot of that like the Anthology 3. I'm gonna have to pick that up soon because I like listening. I got the Anthology 1. I need 2 and 3.
Yeah,
One is all about the early 60s, where they get a lot of mess ups and singing. And, it's got some good stuff on it. But yeah, I think it was a great song. I love that song,
yes.
and I love the next one.
Long, long, long.
Yes, it's one of my favorite George songs. I think he's really coming into to his own on this album with these songs. He was inspired by Bob Dylan for this one on the structure. Um, I like how it starts out with that acoustic. It's very quiet, and then it loudens just
Yeah,
to calm down right away again. I love that. I love that play. I like the piano in it. I thought it was a nice touch. I think when listening to the song, I think of how much George has actually matured as a musician. And it's I like it. Um, you ever notice I like that at the end of the song they got that
yeah. It has kind of
avant-garde kind of thing going. At the
yeah,
end of the song.
yeah,
I thought that was kind of neat too.
yeah.
But
It's a really it's a song that you don't really hear people talk about that much. It's not a
no, you
Beatles song
don't.
that doesn't get as much attention as maybe it should because it's really lovely. It's a and catchy. It's a really good song.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And the actual Bob Dylan song, I forgot to tell you which one it was. It was Sad Eyed Lady of the
Oh,
Lowlands
wow.
that kind of inspired him for this song, which I listened to. And that song, I mean, it's not similar in any way. And the Bob Dylan song is like 11 minutes long. You don't even realize when you're listening to it, though. It kind of goes right through it. I wish this song was actually a little longer because I like it so much.
I mean, that's
But
with a lot of songs. I know.
yeah, I know I complain a lot about short songs, right? I wish we kept on going, but that's the whole point of the song, right? To keep you hanging there.
It's to make you want to play it again and again.
Yeah, which I did actually. I listened to this a lot. When it comes on, I would always turn it up. Then you get Revolution 1.
Yes.
Oh man, so many different versions of this song.
Oh God, I know. I know. There's just too many versions of the song.
You know, and I have to say they're all pretty great. And this is one of those classic songs. Everybody should know what the song is. It's really funny that they've written like 3 different versions for this album, and the rock style version, which I like the best, ended up going on a single.
Yes.
Because they had to meet, quotas for their contract, what have you, that they had to put something out. So like, all right, well, they threw Hey Jude was also supposed to be during this album.
It's crazy, right? That was supposed to be on here.
Yeah, and they throw that out with this song, which I think they should have had on the album personally.
Yes.
Both great songs. Revolution 1, which is the more stripped down bluesy style.
Yes. It's kind of the cleaner production and vocal wise.
Yeah,
version as well.
It does have a cleaner. Yeah, it does have a cleaner sound to it. Of course, it's a song that John Lennon's not being too. I don't know. I think he's on both sides of the fence at this moment. Like he wants change, but at the same time, he doesn't want to do it by violence.
Right.
So that's kind of why he says, "Count me out," and then in. It's like, well, maybe, but not if you're going to do it that way. I think the song's great. I love how they constructed the song together. This version, I mean, I heard versions that have a lot more orchestrated parts in it. The horn section I thought was nice and clean, very warm to the song. Gosh, let me see. I've heard the studio version. I've heard the Take 18. The 2018 remastered, the 2009 remastered, the Escher demo. I like the Escher demo version myself. It's just Lennon and Paul and acoustics and clapping. That's all it is.
Oh, wow.
It's a fun little jam type of version. So if anybody gets a chance to listen to that, they should. It's just kind of like when I heard that version, it's kind of like they're sitting around a campfire jamming, and just clapping and having a good time with it. I love this song.
Yeah, I love the song Revolution. I can one of the things problems I have with this version of Revolution is not really a problem because there's not really a problem on the song. But like I can appreciate all the production and everything that's going into this version, but anytime I listen to it, I get a little antsy because I want
you want the rock version.
I want the rock version.
You say you want a music breakdown of Revolution 1. Well, it's such a great song.
Yeah.
It's a good song, but I agree with you on that. It is something that I noticed when I listen to this version. I'm kind of like, I'd rather hear the other one. I'm like, kick out the rock on that a little bit, but they had to throw one version on the single, and they had to throw one on this one. But I liked it. I think it's still a very, very solid song.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. It's amazing. But I just want the rock version.
I agree with you on that. It's kind of hard because that's the version I heard first,
right?
Before I ever heard this version. Yeah, in fact, I remember listening to the first time when I listened to White Album. I'm like, what version is this? Let's break out the old school, man. Why'd you have to change it? I didn't realize it.
When you were younger, did you have a thing where you're like, oh, it must be Revolution 9?
Revolution 9.
And then when you
we'll get to that.
Yeah, I
we'll
know.
get to that.
But I'm saying, did you ever have a thing where you're like, oh, Revolution 1 isn't the version I want. It must be Revolution 9.
No, I've never had. In fact, I hadn't heard that till a lot later in life when I actually listened to the whole White Album.
Right.
Yeah. We'll get to that one.
Yeah, but first, we already been over Wild Honey Pie, but what about just Honey Pie?
Dude, I love this song.
Oh, yeah.
I love the fact that they go for that old style. What is it? They just go for that old style song.
Kind of an old school show tune.
Show tune, exactly. Kind of like a grand show tune that they did on stage back in the day.
Yeah.
It even added that 78 record scratch.
Yeah.
To give it that feel. My favorite part of the whole song is kind of when he goes to that little, I like it like that. And they do that. Yeah.
There's that little jazzy guitar break.
Yeah, and where he almost like goes to Tiny Tim levels on the vocals. It makes me laugh every time. I love it. That old British music hall style, and the little guitar. Lennon actually played the guitar solo on this one.
Oh wow, yeah, it's a nice little jazzy bit. It's not much. It's very tiny. I mean,
very tiny, not a lot to it.
Just moments, but it is nice.
I thought it was a smart little ditty, and Paul likes to do that a lot to kind of go back in the old sounds, which I thought the album kind of needed it. It kind of broke it up a little bit. That's what made it experimental. They're doing all these different sounds.
Yeah,
and it's part of the appeal of the White Album,
showing that range
of we don't just write this, we can write whatever the heck we want. Thank you, Sgt. Pepper's, right? That's another one we should do later on. And then we got the next one,
Savoy Truffle.
And did you read up on the inspiration for this song?
No, I did not.
It's actually George wrote it for Eric Clapton because he liked to eat sweets a lot.
Oh, okay.
So he kept warning him, like, dude, you need to lay off the sweets. They're going to pull all your teeth out. So he came up with this song, was basically reading off of the box of what they had in the thing, but that's what the song's about. I thought it was a fun song.
Oh yeah, it's got another song with some really cool riffs, and there's one part where the horns come in and they act almost like a guitar riff.
Yes. This is another one of the. I thought it was like I don't know if it was keyboards or an organ. Kind of sounded like an organ.
The organ.
Yeah. Nicely used on the album. I liked that.
The bass really stood out to me.
Yes, it did. The bass was good. I have that. Yeah, I kind of have that in my notes. It was done in that E minor sound, and the horns are heavily used on it. I thought that was good. I thought it was very upbeat rock.
Yes.
Kind of track that I would have loved to have heard more of. I don't get me wrong, I love the album, but I like it when the Beatles can come out there and just kind of rock it out a little bit, saying, well, we're not just a pop band, we can do whatever the heck we want. And I thought George pulled a really good performance on this song, and I liked it a lot. It's one of the ones that I like a lot.
And from there, we got Cry Baby Cry.
Another one that I really like. Another Lennon doing it. They have another one on the session with the outtakes and stuff from the I Will. I like that at the end of the song they have that Can You Take Me Back by Paul McCartnney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was used for something else, and they just went ahead and added that on the back. I like that was a nice touch at the back of it. I like the whole... Go ahead.
Oh, no, what you go.
No, I was just going to say kind of like the accordion in the beginning. I thought that was a nice touch, and they have this like the way he played with words, kind of like it was like a story, like a fairy tale story for kids.
Oh yeah,
the king in the garden, the queen in the playroom, the duchess, the duke. I thought that was pretty cool.
There's I like the crash from the drums, the crash.
Yeah,
they really stood out in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, I hear you. I don't think it was as loud for me on mine. Was that on the
Okay.
CD version or was that on the record version?
I think I noticed it on both.
Oh, really? Okay. I may not have been paying attention. Now I know what you're talking about, though. I like how John almost whispers on this song
Right.
a little bit. I thought that was kind of nice. Kind of gave it that whole "cry, baby, cry."
Yeah, I think I wrote on my notes that some great vocals from Lennon here. That's what I
Yeah,
wrote.
yeah, it was pretty good. He actually got it from an advertisement that said uh, "Buy, lady, buy" or something like that. Make your mother buy or set cry. I can't remember. He got it from an ad and changed it up a
Oh
little bit.
wow.
Then you have Revolution 9.
Nine,
Uh,
nine, nine,
which is,
nine, nine,
I get
nine.
it. I get it. I totally don't mind the style. I just think it's too long.
Right.
It's 8 minutes. I mean, I could have gone with 2 minutes going, okay, that's pretty cool, and I didn't think it really expressed revolution that much. Uh, it was like, I think you were already down like 5 minutes before you actually hear like gunshots and stuff. Uh, where you go, oh, okay, I could see that, a little
Right.
bit. But other than that, I didn't get much out of this.
It's not. I think one thing to keep in mind, in my opinion, is not a song.
No, it's not. It's supposed to be an expression of revolution, like telling a story.
It's kind of an experience for your ears. And
it is. But I mean,
there's all the panning, there's the looping, there's the talking, the ambient noises. It's just meant to be like an oral experience, like you said, taking you into revolution. And for me, it works within the album. It could be shorter, of course, but
of course it works. Yeah.
But on its own, I probably would not listen to this. But in the context of the album, it works. But yeah, it definitely could stand to be shorter.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I hate it. I mean, I listen to bands like Milk Banana, and I mean, all kinds of weird stuff that do a lot with noises and such,
Right.
which I'm fine with. But it's too long. It's too long. It could have been, like the first time as I listened to this album, I always skipped it. The second time, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to it. After 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, skip. The last time I actually listened to it, I was just like, okay, all right, baby's crying. Okay, number nine.
Nine.
Exactly. Like 6 minute mark, you're like, all right, dude. Revolution happened already. Let's go. I thought it was the weakest song. It's interesting though, is actually my wife told me a story about this song. This was the actual song where he was working with Yoko Ono and he slept with her for the first time while he was married. Yeah, she caught him with Yoko at the house doing this song. Interesting little factoid.
Damn.
Yeah, after this album was released, he got a divorce.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's just next song.
So that's the final song.
To the final song, which, I thought we'd still be working on the album here. You know what? Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, you know how I said I didn't know that Ringo Starr sung this song?
Yes.
I'm looking at my notes. John Lennon wrote this song, but Ringo Starr sang it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have waited.
Damn. No.
I mean, it's like I totally forgot that I knew that Ringo sang the song. Oh well. Yeah. Okay.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. Like Yoko Ono.
Yoko Ono. Oh no.
Yoko Ono.
That's going to be the new thing. I thought this song was perfect for an end of this album.
I love this song. I
mean, good night, good night, sleep, right? Sleep tight, and now the sun turns out his light. I mean, it's almost like a child, lullaby.
Didn't John write it as a lullaby?
He did write it for his
Julian?
son. Yeah, he did write it for his son. for that. But see, that's why I think that because I knew he wrote the song. I knew he wrote the song for Son. That's why I thought for some reason in my head I thought he sang it, and I totally forgot that it was Ringo. But why did he choose Ringo to sing a song he wrote for his son?
I don't know, but when I heard the demos for this song, I can kind of understand it because John's demos, the way he approached it didn't sound as good as the way Ringo approached it.
You think they just said, okay, well, you go ahead and sing this one?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an old Hollywood kind of production number. They had 12 violins, 1 clarinet, 1 horn, 3 flutes, a harp, 3 cellos, 3 violas, and a vibraphone,
Very lush orchestration.
Very lush. It just reminds me of one of those old, like, sign-off songs on a show or something, like back in the day. I thought it was a perfect ending to this album.
This is a song when I was younger, I maybe didn't pay attention to it so much. And then,
I gotta tell you, the only thing I really paid attention to when I was younger was the early Beatles.
Right.
I Want to Hold Your Hand, Saw You Standing There. That's the Beatles I grew up on.
But listening to it like both times on the vinyl and then on I listened to it more than that because I fell in love with the song. But I just like found myself like I was flying in a dream with this song. Like it made me slightly emotional. I just really love this song.
My actual favorite part of the song is the very end when they whisper good night everyone, everywhere, good night.
Everywhere.
I thought that was a nice touch and a perfect way to end an album.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
if you look at an album as a cohesive piece, like not just a collection of songs, but as a cohesive piece on its own. Yeah. And you can look at it as like each song is kind of a movement in this big piece. It's like you've been through this experience. Think about all the places you've been. If you listen to this whole album in one sitting, all the places you've been, all the places they've taken you to, and then after all that journey, here he is saying like, they're saying, telling you, good night, everyone, everywhere.
like you've made it through this album.
And like
we're leaving now. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go to sleep. Exactly. I think it's a very nice touch to end an album. In closing, this album, after listening to it for 3 weeks straight, it was amazing. I never got tired of it.
Yes.
I'd listen to, disc 1 and disc 2 and then I'd listen to the Escher demos and then I'd listen to it again. And then I'd listen to like some Anthology 3 versions of it, and then, I kept like the more I found out about it and the inspirations and the bands, it took me everywhere. I listened to Bob Dylan. I listened to the Chuck Berry, back in the USA. I listened to the band. I started I listened to The Who. I started listening to all this different stuff that they kept referencing to. I mean, it was an amazing album to listen to. It was very fun to research and very fun to listen to. I have a little side note that I'd like to talk about.
Do it.
Before we close this out. Is I actually watched a documentary about the label that they started right after about this album. After Abbey Road, they did their own record label, and Pink Floyd came to them to sign with them, and they never signed them.
Wow!
And I wonder to this day if they ever kicked themselves in the ass for not signing them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You're just kind of another band that actually came to them and they never signed because the Beatles they all had to come in agreement when they signed somebody. Either they weren't there or they were recording or they were doing something. So you could never get them to do anything, and that's why the label kind of failed. But another band was Fleetwood Mac.
Wow.
Hello. Yeah, you're kind of like they could have made money. Like serious, they made serious money, but they could have kept it going. George could have kept, something.
Right, but with Fleetwood Mac, keep in mind there when you talk about Fleetwood Mac, you're talking about basically two different bands.
Yes. It
There's
wasn't with Stevie Nicks, mind you.
yeah,
It wasn't. They weren't there yet.
there's pre Buckingham and Nicks, and there's then after them, and they're like two different bands. Although
Yes.
oddly enough, both versions had hits and were successful. So
Yes, but I mean, even if they would have kept them on the label, do you see what I
right,
mean? Even if they evolved into the second version that most people know, uh, they still, were a band not to pass up. So it's just one of those things. I was just like, I couldn't believe they didn't sign them. But all right, after all this, after all research, after listening to the album for 3 weeks,
really,
what is your verdict?
verdict guilty.
Your
No,
verdict. Guilty. Which is actually, you know what? I need to make some audible. Now that you say that, um, for those who haven't heard, they should listen to the Escher demos and they should listen to Anthology 3. They have songs on there that never made it to the album.
oh yeah,
And I wanted to touch on this
do
because
it.
it's some really good songs that I thought they should have put on there. Mean Mr. Mustard,
Oh yeah,
which ended up on Abbey. What is it? Abbey Lane?
yeah.
It ended up on that album, but they have an acoustic version that they wrote, and they actually wrote it for this album that never showed up on there. Then they have like this almost punk style song. I'm not kidding, like pre-punk, called Polythene Town.
Oh,
You should listen to it. Anybody out there, if you've never experienced something that you don't hear the Beatles do usually, it was a really great song. They had a song called Not Guilty. What's the New Mary Jane that Lennon really wanted to push, and he tried to do a version with George for his Plastic Ono band, but he never got that song out. There's a Circles, Junk, and then they did another song that they actually was a really good song, and I don't know why they didn't put this on the album, but they gave it to what's his name, Lomax.
oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about? What's his first name? They signed him. They signed the guy, and I can't remember his name. Jackie Lomax.
Okay.
And it did not do well with his version. But if you actually listen to the song Sour Milk Sea, it's excellent by the Beatles. And I think they should have used it. But those are my honorable mentions.
Wow.
And now back to actual rating.
And now back to the news. So ratings.
What do you give this album?
Okay, so let me explain some things. So usually when I think of the albums I consider like perfect,
Yeah.
It's Disintegration, it's Purple Rain, it's What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. For me, I consider those. I always hold those albums up because to me, every single song, if I was giving it every song a rating, is like I would rate every song like a 5 on my own personal ratings. So every song would be like 5 stars, like the maximum rating, and then they all work as a cohesive piece, like not just a collection of songs. They all work as this amazing.
Yeah, they're not just great songs, but they fit each other. They all work each other on the album. Yeah.
This album, I wouldn't necessarily say every song is a 5-star.
No.
But I would say the entire album as a cohesive piece is like the maximum rating as a cohesive piece. So I'm giving it 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I give it a 9.
Okay. I almost went there because I was like, well, it's not quite perfect, but
as an album, I agree with you. As an album, I mean,
as an album, it's
my favorite Beatles album of all time. I love it. I mean, everybody raves about Sgt. Pepper's, what have you. I say White's the best. I rate it 9 out of 10 for pretty much 3 reasons.
Okay.
Is the Wild Honey Pie. Well, I don't hate it.
No, I know.
It's just kind of maybe it's the placing or where they put it. It didn't make sense to me in a sense. Like it, okay, well, I see that. I see what they're doing there, but it didn't really, it didn't end with that song well, and it didn't start the other song off, look, uh, that's one of the reasons why. The other would be Revolution 9. Not that it doesn't make sense.
No,
It
yeah, I
makes sense
know.
for the album. It's just too long. It's too long. I mean, for a piece like that to go on for 8 minutes, when it doesn't even really flow a story like they were trying to put out, to me, it didn't scream revolution. For that reason, and you're gonna hate this, but Julia for being kind of boring, for being kind of dry. I like the construction of the song. I think it's great. I think that he sings well on it. It's just not my favorite. I just I thought it was kind of dry for the album. But that's the reason why I gave it 9.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel weird giving it 10 because I don't think it's it's a perfect album. So I probably should give it a 9 is what my score should be, or
9.5.
a 9.5 if we were doing that. Yeah, but yeah, I just feel as a cohesive piece, I feel it is basically perfect. But as I can't say every song is perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I should be scaling it to a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But,
oh yeah, because I mean, it's like you said, with Disintegration, you think every single song is great. Every single song works by itself, and it works together. And why you give it a 10. So in that aspect, you kind of gotta, but I mean, it could be a 10. It could very well be a 10.
I'm going to amend my rating to a 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
What actually comes to mind is a lot of references. I mean, Beatles have made references throughout history, since they came out in movies. And I always think of this Fletch. Have you ever seen Fletch?
Not in a long time.
Okay, well, there's a part where he's pretending to be a doctor, and the guy's like, "Come here and help me," and he puts, like he's cutting the guy open. He passes out, and he wakes up on the couch, and the lady says, "He's like, what happened?" She's like, the nurse says, "Oh, you passed out. Are you okay? Do you need anything?" And he said something. He goes, "Do you have the Beatles White Album?" It comes to mind. I mean that this album has been referenced many, many times in movies and commercials. It's just amazing to me that album, is really not even dated. Like, you can't date it. I mean, it does have some of the productions, of the 60s and whatnot, but to me, it's not dated. That it'll always be,
right,
reverent in the sense of music's concerned. But you come to the part now. Well, we already have one of the new albums.
Yes.
And you chose Witcher's Creed.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember this.
Awaken from the Tomb. Yeah. Which I'm actually excited. I haven't even listened to it.
I haven't listened to it either, so yeah.
But you know me, I love a lot of Black Sabbath, and you said this is pretty much Black Sabbath worship going on. So I'm actually excited to listen to this. Never heard of them. My pick, and I'm strictly picking this on the actual title and artwork of the album. Okay. Right. I've never heard it. I think it's in the metal genre. It's actually I guess it's a band, but it's a guy called John Garcia. And the name of the album is John Garcia and the Band of Gold.
John Garcia and the Band
and the
of
Band
Gold.
of Gold. That is the name of the album. And I think, what was the... a lot of the songs reference, I think one of the songs is called Vatos, or something like that. So, I mean, it kind of caught my attention. So I'm like, I'm going to have to see what this is about. So this is why I'm picking it. I have no idea what it sounds like. I haven't even listened to it. But I strictly picked it because of the name of the album and the album cover.
Wow. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to have fun with this one. I hope it's not another Jessica Pratt situation. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Dying. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna amend my rating one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with just a flat 9 out of 10 because I don't want to get into decimal points and stuff in this.
I understand. I understand.
We'll go with because a 9 out of 10 you can look at as like a 4.5 stars. So
you could. Yeah, so, okay. See, it's kind of where I'm coming from too. You know, I mean, it's as an album, it's really great.
Yeah.
Is every single song really, a 10 for me? No, but most of it is. In fact, a big percentage of it is. That's why I still choose 9, because it'd be like 90% of the songs are still awesome. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's not that Wild Honey Pie is bad. I just didn't think it fit where they put it. You know?
Yes.
It could have been at the end of a song, kind of. It's kind of just like thrown in there, like, okay, well, what are we going to put there? All right, let's do this. I think you should have put it by Honey Pie, maybe.
Honey Pie.
Yeah. I thought it would do good, like maybe end, Honey Pie with Wild Honey Pie, or start it, and then,
right.
It would have made more sense, and then I wouldn't have had any issues with it at all. You know what I mean? So that's why. And Julia is not a bad song. Do not get me wrong. It's made well. It's a nice song.
Send angry mail to our messages to @Don.
They're all Pedro. They're all letters from you. He said the Cure can't sing. I'm going to show him a thing or two. No, we'll get into that later.
But hey,
yeah. So
this has been quite an episode where I think we're approaching 2 hours.
Yeah. It's one of those albums.
Yes, it's an amazing album.
Maybe I'll just have to drop another bomb on you like that.
No, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, maybe hold off on double albums for a while.
Oh man, I got one in mind too.
But yeah, so I want to thank everyone for listening to the show. And Don, thank you for choosing this album. It's been quite an adventure. No?
Oh man, quite an adventure. Loved it, every minute of it.
And we'll see y'all next time for our episode of just all new stuff. So,
yes, sir. See y'all in about a week.
Yeah. Adios.
Adios. Signing off.